Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. On today's episode, I have a very funny, amazing, talented comedian sitting next to me. He's also the host of two very popular podcasts, the J Train podcast, along with the Betches You Up podcast. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome my guest sitting next to me today, Jared Freid. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I know your
schedule
is so busy, so I'm glad I got you.
Everyone's busy.
I know. It's always a thing, right?
I'm happy we can make it happen.
Yeah, me too. So tell us about your podcast that you have. You have two very different ones, and they're both very successful.
They're okay. The J Train is one I've been doing for like 6 years. We started it as just kind of a general podcast. I used to do it with Total Frat Move.
Okay.
And that's like a guy site out of Austin. I was like, I want to do a podcast. They were like, what's a podcast? I was like, okay, cool. You guys have a following. You push it out to them. I'll figure out a show, and then I'll find a place to do it. So then that all worked out for a while. And then podcasts have becoming more and more popular.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm in a place called Gotham Podcast Studio
exactly.
right now. So the more popular they got, the more TFM wanted to do their own thing with podcasts. I was like, cool, I'll take the audience and I'll change the name to J Train Podcast. And what happened from the beginning is, for whatever reason, people kept, I was just making fun of news from the site. And then I was like, I'll take emails at the end. If you want to send an email, send it in. And people started asking for advice, just general life advice. So
wow,
I started answering those, and we started getting so many emails that it kind of flipped. At one point, it was just, okay, we'll do all these emails, and then we'll get to the end and do news at the end. So that's kind of what the show's always been. We take emails from listeners, give them advice. So I was getting like 50 emails a week, and they were all very thoughtful. And at a certain point, more and more women started getting involved because it was TFM, so that was like a guy site. And then it was always more of a female show, I think, because it was women like advice a little bit more. They like hearing all the sides. They want to hear the why.
Yeah.
If from what I feel from the emails I've gotten. So the women's emails were always a little bit more detailed, a little more fun, a little more interesting. The guy emails a lot of times were like, I'm at this bar, how do I fuck? And it's like, I don't know. It's tough to help someone like that. So I started going on some female-centric podcasts, and like women started getting more and more into podcasts. Since Serial, that's kind of when like the murder podcast kind of brought women in more.
Right.
And mine was kind of already there working, and was a good place for them to end up. So now we have probably like all the emails are like 80% of the emails are from women.
Wow.
And then about 2 years ago, Betches, fantastic media company, they reached out to me. They'd been guests on my podcast, the three women who started that company. And they were like, hey, we want to start a new podcast where we give dating advice from the guy and girl point of view. So you'll be the guy, and Jordana Abraham, who's one of the Betches, she was the woman, and we've been doing it for 2 years, and it's been great. Like, I mean, like, seeing what happened with J Train turn into this like advice podcast, and then both of us already had our own podcast, so we kind of already knew how to do it. We knew how to like, talk to the audience, and we knew our points of view pretty well, and so that made You Up was kind of a nice little restart,
right?
And that's the You Up podcast, and that was like a nice little recharge, and now more people have found J Train through You Up, and they're two similar but different things. So so and You Up is more like a kind of more of a dissection of dating with the modern technology and like kind of stuff you can't go to your parents for. So that's kind of what we go to.
Can you give us an example of some of the emails that you've given advice on?
Like if someone, something that I think it's just more the crossover of social media and dating, and the same rules apply. You have to go out. You have to go meet people in public. You have to see them in person. But there's just a lot of stuff in the way that makes you feel like someone's interested when they're not really doing that much to show that interest. So it's easy to send a text. You can send a text to 12 people at once, and you can even add a 13th if you'd like.
That's true.
It's really hard to put an hour away to meet someone.
Yeah.
That's an effort. That's different. So You know, a lot of times it's what does this mean? That I think a lot of the questions that we get, I call it a podcast of luxury issues.
Okay.
Because right now there's so much going on that if you brought up at brunch, hey, this guy liked 10 of my Instagram pictures in a row. What does that mean? Someone go, shut up, stop it. You know, that's stupid. It doesn't mean anything. Goodbye. And it's like, well, it means something.
What do you think it means?
The guy wants to talk to you. It's a way of not getting turned down by asking you out without ever having to get turned down.
Oh.
You like 10 in a row. If you respond in DM, hey, saw you liked or if you like a bunch of his in a row, now you're, kind of doing like the dance of two animals, just on social media.
Right.
When you see the birds dance at each other before they fuck, that's kind of like liking each other's Instagram pictures. So
that's so crazy though that people have I've talked to people and I asked them how they met and they're like, oh, he slid into my DMs.
Yeah.
Like, this is like a real thing that's happening.
Of course, you can meet anyone anyway, so like if it's there, if the device is there, it's going to be used for fucking. Right. What do they say? All technology is made for war and for porn. So
this is true.
So all technology started at I want to kill someone or I want to fuck something. So
okay.
So like all of our technology at some point, I know that's a harsh reality to deal with, but that's the reality. And if there's a guy messaging you over Instagram, if there's a way to message a girl that you can save yourself of the embarrassment of seeing their facial reaction, yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
wait, have you ever reached out to somebody on Instagram that you didn't know?
Of course.
How was the reaction?
I don't even remember. I've probably done it so many times that it doesn't, like, to me, Instagram's the best dating app. Like that's that's where most people are pretty much trying to meet now.
Have you ever physically met somebody on that you've like seen on Instagram?
Of course.
Do they look the same?
Yeah. I mean, that stuff to me is overblown.
You
don't look like your pictures. Like, everyone's got one experience where they were like, whoa, I thought it was but we all know. We all can go look at more pictures.
Yeah.
To me, that's someone trying, when they say, oh, they didn't look like their pictures, like, that's their insecurities being played out on somebody else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just don't like.
Okay, that's very.
When they say that, it's just that was a failure of a date, and they're trying to blame it on something when it's just two people that didn't match.
Gotcha. And are you dating now?
I have a girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay. Did you meet her on Instagram?
No, we met at a show. She was just at a random show that wasn't my show. Just.
Oh, really?
I was hosting, and she approached me, and so what's up?
How long has it been now?
Year and a few months. I think something like that.
So do you feel that these podcasts have helped you be a better boyfriend?
I'm a more aware boyfriend. I don't think I'm better. I think it was happening with dating too. Like, I'm just, you have to hear from a lot of people and what they're hurt by. And I'm just I think everyone's actively aware of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder to lie to yourself when you're talking to a microphone about it a lot of times.
Right. No, it's true. And do you get, messages where people are asking, like, should I be friends with an ex?
Yeah.
And what's your kind of advice on that?
Everything depends. I don't think there's ever like really one answer to all these questions. Like, there's a lot of context. That's why I like the format of the show. Like, people send in like the story. Like, listen, if you and your ex broke up today, you're not gonna be friends for a while.
Right. Exactly.
Probably not. Like, that's and if you guys broke up a year ago, and somehow by the forces of nature, you guys ran into each other at a party and hung out for a second, and all the sex has been kind of wrung from the towel.
Right.
Yeah, that could happen. I have friends like that. But it wasn't because we tried to be friends after a breakup. That's never really worked for me. Like,
right.
Let's be friends. That's someone who doesn't want to hurt someone that they like, trying to tell them they don't want to fuck them anymore.
Right.
Let's be friends
That's
is
true.
easier than I think I'll find someone as good as, if not better than you when I'm ready.
Right. That's true.
So,
which would be a lot meaner of a thing to say.
Yeah,
right?
but
It would hurt.
more honest. I don't think it's
That's
mean.
true.
I mean, I just think most of us don't want the honesty. So it's like during a breakup, a lot of people try to grab on to things being said. But like, a breakup is one person that's in the house and the other person that's trying to escape the house.
Yes.
So the person trying to escape is doing whatever the fuck they can do to get the fuck out of that house. It's burning down. Screw you. I'm leaving. Face smush. Goodbye.
Yeah, no, it's true. And so, because I had a thing where, I was with somebody and we broke up, and then like we didn't talk for a while, and then I reached out and we were friends, and everything is cordial, and it's like no bad blood. But I also stopped reaching out because I realized that I was the only one initiating.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
why'd you reach out in the first place?
Because there was a dog. There was a dog involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
The dog is with them or with you?
With them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys had a dog together, or they had the dog before you got?
We got the puppy when we were together.
Got it.
Yeah,
So
but
he
it
got
was
the
more
puppy
his
and the
dog.
It's more his.
Well, it was bought for him. We just got it he got it when we were together, so it seemed
So
like
it's
it was our
dog.
dog, but it was more his dog. Yeah, but I missed
Yeah.
the dog, so
Yeah,
that's
well,
why.
I mean,
That was
that's
the initiation.
I mean, that's the answer to the question. You were lonely. You were lonely, so you reached out to him to talk to the dog that can't talk to you.
Or see the dog.
But this is why people reach out to exes, because it's already someone who said yes to you.
Right.
People are
But
always,
I knew that this person it was never going to happen with this person.
Yeah, but you knew that they'd be nice. You knew that they were comfortable. You knew that they were someone that you were familiar with. They weren't someone new off the street that you'd have to get to know.
True.
So, like, a lot, I'd say so many times people reach out to exes because you go through the Rolodex and you're like, okay, who can I go back to get rid of the disease of loneliness, which it is. It sucks to be lonely.
Uh-huh.
And this person has always been nice. I have nothing against them,
Right.
So, okay, I'll go back to them. But, when you say like they weren't reaching back out to you, there wasn't
they
going
would
both.
respond, but it wasn't like the initiation.
Yeah, because you're not friends. So like,
Right.
so he's got his own friends.
I guess I thought we were friends,
Well,
but I guess that was a
to
clear
me,
message.
you thought the dog would,
Yeah.
you were sitting there like, I want to see the fucking dog. I'm sitting here.
Well, I still want to see the dog, but I got to
can
go
go
through
buy-
him to see
go
the damn
buy
dog.
your own dog.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly, that. That's why I'm like, you know what? It's probably not good to see the dog because then it just keeps you. Because the reality is, he doesn't really want to be my friend. I mean, why would he want to be friends with an ex-girlfriend?
It can happen.
Just in
I think, there's no. I think that's why like dating advice kind of sucks in like magazine form. I think that's why podcast people like it. There's no black and white answer, but they also don't try and believe in the less likely scenario. Like, don't believe you're the exception. Like
True.
So like in most cases, I don't think he doesn't want to be friends with an ex. I think he's got other friends that have already been there and that he can go to, and that there's no ambiguity to what the relationship is.
Right. So him not reaching out is kind of like.
If I had an ex that was like, hey, I just want to like, I've just been thinking of the dog, I'd be like, hey, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
But
it's
the
been
ego of
so long though
it's
that
been
now it's like I'm
but to
telling
you,
it's been so long.
But to you, so like let's say he has a new girlfriend.
Right.
Let's say he has a new girlfriend, and then you reach out, and she goes, "Who was that?" Well, that was my ex. She just like misses the dog. You think that new girlfriend's like, oh, invite her over? Like, no, it's just like she's gonna go. She's not gonna buy it either.
I know, but the truth is, I mean, you kind of know me that I'm like, I am an honest person, and the truth of the matter is, maybe 2 years ago, reaching out saying I want to see the dog had an ulterior motive, but now, I don't mind him as a person. I think he's fabulous. He's just not for me.
But the alternative motive isn't the relationship.
No.
The alternative motive is like he's a friendly, like so like. To the person they're dating now, they're like,
I don't think he dates any. I think he's got relationship issues.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't. To me, there's other people you can call before them.
Yeah.
Like, or you can meet a new person.
Well, I have lots of friends. I just wanted to see the dog. It's literally the dog. I know.
Yeah, I mean that's the easy. I just think that's an easy thing to say.
Right.
I think that's
really
the dog. Yeah, fine.
Get your own dog. Trust me, I want my own dog.
Go get it.
I know. I need to, right? So what about like if somebody, how long do you, so I had this girl, Erin Davis. She's a wing woman. Do you know her? Mm-hmm. She does comedy, right? And she had said her advice was if you've never met somebody and you're meeting up for the first time, don't allow more than 60 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I don't believe in any rules like that.
Okay.
I think like everybody's scenario is different. Everyone's story is a little bit different. I think like keeping to that, it doesn't really. I don't believe in that at all. I think if you're having fun with someone, you have fun, and then you know, a lot of these things are made to make people who lack confidence kind of have some like it's like religion.
Okay.
You know, like, well, it says it. It's like a little bit of an OCD thing. Like,
right.
If you're having fun with someone, you're having fun. Like, I don't.
Yeah, so you really shouldn't like set a time limit.
No, go to another bar, whatever. You know,
yeah.
Go home with someone. Don't go home with someone.
It's also an exit strategy too. If you don't like the person, because you don't know how.
If you don't like the person, get one drink and then go. Hey, this was a lot of fun. I gotta get going.
Yeah, exactly.
Like like this is. I think rules like that kind of make it a little more elaborate. Like
right.
It's pretty simple. Like, and I think not putting your standards in other people's hands is like the best advice you could ever go by.
Okay.
Whatever makes you feel good makes you feel good. I don't know what that is, but
right.
Don't question that. Like a lot of people come home from a date and they'll go, he didn't pay. Like that's like whatever. Like I've heard like he doesn't pay.
Okay.
And then do you think a guy should pay? And I'll go, I don't know. I don't know. And they go, well, what do you do? I go, it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter. How did it make you feel? If you believe,
right.
if you went after the day were let down by the idea of him not paying,
right.
You just found a standard. This is something that you can put into the mathematical equation of how you judge a guy. And
that's okay.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
And you don't go out again. Fine. There's this whole thing of like, I don't know who we're trying to impress. like this isn't, this isn't Ed TV or what's the show? This isn't the Truman Show. Like no one's watching us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So you go on a date with someone, they do pay. They go, I'll take care of it. You go, wow. It's okay to feel good about that. It's okay to feel bad about that.
Right.
Like it's just not the match, so that's like one of those things that like, there's no rules. It's more, are you enjoying yourself? Do you want to merge with this other company? You're not trying to work for somebody. You're trying to merge with somebody.
Right. No, and that makes sense. And more women are breadwinners today now than before, but there are still men that kind of hold those old school mentalities of.
But there's also some women that like that. Like you can't tell someone how to not salivate for a steak. Steaks are bad for you. Steaks are good for you. Too much steak is not good. So like, I just don't like. I get a lot of emails that are like, they did this, and that. Do they like me? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Do you like them?
Right.
What's wrong with asking that question? I don't know. That's my, I think that's what, I think a lot of the dating advice and like, I never sought, like I give a lot of advice. It's all out of my ass, but like, I don't really seek to be I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you how I've acted in similar situations and how I felt. I'm not, the be all end all. Like I'm just giving perspective and you can listen to it or not. But like, I think a lot of people with dating, they're looking for answers so that they're not wrong. No one wants to throw away a good hand. And well, they don't want to do did I do anything wrong? Is always like a question. I'm like, I don't think there's such a thing as doing anything wrong. Did you acted honestly and because you wanted to like somebody.
Right. Because sometimes I feel like, I guess everybody's afraid of getting rejected. So you don't make yourself as vulnerable. When that's the whole key to a successful relationship.
You're just not going to meet anybody at that point if you're not vulnerable. Like,
right.
You're just not going to.
It's true.
So.
Yeah. So I guess it's like you have to swallow the pill that not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if you have fun, someone will be drawn to that. I know that's people want easy answers, but it's not.
Right.
There's no easy answer to that.
So after a date, if it goes well, who should text first?
Whoever, doesn't matter.
You're saying if it's meant to be, it doesn't matter. You don't really have to play all these games.
Again,
and these
but this is the whole thing. Like, who should text first? Like, the guy should text. Like if you had fun, hey, I had a great time. This is so nice to meet you. Would love to do it again. Let me know when you're free. That's, like everyone thinks they have to you can give someone the tools to let them know to build the house.
Right.
You can say all that stuff in that text that I just said. Yeah. Hey, I had a great time. It was really nice to meet you. Would love to do it again. Let me know when you're free.
Right.
That's all the tools to then come back with a house built, a date built, so to speak. So let's say, hey, I had a great time. Really enjoyed your company. Would love to do it again. Let me know when you're free. Then they write back, Monday at 8. You pick the place. Aren't you in? Like, what's wrong with that?
Right.
You had fun. You let them know. They gave you a day. How many people would love that out of a second date scenario? Now, if they write back, I had fun too, time to move on. That's okay. They had all the ability to make that plan.
Oh, okay. So here's an interesting thing. So for me, I'm just saying, like, if I was in that situation and I initiated the first text after and then got that I had fun too, but nothing after that.
Yeah.
That means they're not interested?
Is that great? Let me know when you're free.
Okay.
And then it's over. Like, then the ball's in their court.
Right.
I can have fun with a lot of people I don't want to go on a second date with.
Right.
Yeah. And also people want to be nice. It's so much easier to be nice than it is to be mean.
Totally.
So not a lot of people, you would hope, it would be nice if people did, but if they wrote back, hey, I had a great time too, but this isn't a romantic connection for me, that's an okay text to send. But a lot of people don't send that.
That's a perfect text to send because then you don't waste your time.
But not a lot of people send that. Sometimes they'll go, that was fun. I had a great time too. Then you'll get the text on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Are you going out tonight? So now you have to look at what you did. You said, I'd love to go out sometime when you're free. They came back 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. Are you going out tonight? I'm out. Now you have the chance to have a standard. You have a chance to go, just like the paying thing.
Right.
Where it's like, all right, I don't like the way that feels. That's not the way I want to be asked out on a second date.
No.
All right, well, you don't have to fight with that person to change their sensibility. That's just not your match. Like,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
So do you know what I mean? Like, this isn't like A plus B equals C. Like it's never. It's really like it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, more or less. So it's like, you're saying, I'm great. I am who I am.
Yeah.
And I like what I like, and it's okay to just be like, if someone, because then what people are afraid of is like, hey, I'm out tonight at 10, and you write back, hey, I would like to, no, then you can go back with, it's all contract negotiation. You go, hey, I'm busy tonight. I got plans with a friend. I told you, I'm down for another drink or dinner or whatever. Let me know when. You can say that again. It doesn't have to be this like angry thing. I think a lot of people get angry they don't get the response that they wanted.
Yes.
And you can always be totally pleasant, like, and be like, hey, that's cool. I'm just not gonna go out tonight. I'd love to do dinner this week if you're around.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna make that plan or they're not. And
right.
The one thing we can all count on is no one does things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So
this is so true.
So, at that point, maybe then you go, well, I'm dragging him into it. No, you're reminding him or her, this is the standard I live by.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's okay to remind someone politely and be like, and then go out with them and have a great time. I think the other thing with like, if I was to give any empathy to people who act that way, where they go, well, I'm out, come meet out. There's a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of people that are like, can't even get out of their own way to like say like that's just how they operate in dating, and they'll say to you, well, I didn't, I go out and I'm being casual, and it's like, okay, well, I'm looking to like meet someone like a real person, you know, and that's okay to just disagree on that. You don't have to you don't have to change someone just because they're the one listening to you.
So what do you think about ghosting? Because that's been a big thing.
I think ghosting is overblown. I think that's a lot of people who. You can send the text and be like, hey, where you been? What's up? Are we going to go out again? You can always send that text.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times people want to be the one ghosted, as surprising as that sounds. They want to go, well, I got ghosted. And it's like, well, did you not text it? Like, So there's two things. There's
why would people want to be ghosted?
I like to tell the story. Makes you more interesting. It's something to talk about at the brunch table. Like, why not? Like,
yeah, I guess so.
You know, like that's more, you know, what I've noticed is there's ghosting and then we fizzled.
Yes.
Ghosting, we fizzled. Ghosting is someone you wanted to text you back that never did. Fizzled is someone you didn't really care about that never texted you back. So why are those different? So at one,
I thought it was fizzle. You just got slow answers, and they started getting further and further apart.
To me, I've always heard we just fizzled, and it always comes from women. We're dating a while, and then things just fizzled. There's not the same. There's not the same animosity as and he ghosted.
Right.
You know. Well, those seems like the same thing. Where one you just got what you wanted, and one you get something that you didn't want, felt like you were being turned down, and one felt like you were turning them down.
Right.
You know, so I think it's so easy to communicate and hard at the same time. So like,
oh my gosh, I know, right?
If you're being texted and then you're like, hey, let's go out, and then they don't respond. First of all, that's your answer. That's a no. That's not ghosting. No.
Right.
And then second of all, it's like, hey, I just asked you out. If you don't want to go, that's no problem. Just let me know. Yeah. So I don't want to waste my time on this. And it's like, no one sends that text. You know, like people just would.
Actually, I got that today.
You did?
I did get a text like that.
Okay.
I was kind of like, I wasn't really interested in this guy that I went on one date with. And he was so sweet and so nice. But I just didn't know how to tell him, like, hey, I'm not interested. So I like fizzled it out, meaning that I would write occasionally, but I wouldn't write to everything. And then he sent me a message today saying, I think you're really great. I'd be open to being friends with you. The ball's in your court. I'm not gonna reach out, which I thought was very respectful.
Yeah, more than you were.
I know. So, I was very disrespectful. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
No, but we've all done that. I'm not saying I'm beyond. I've done what you did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not better than that.
Right,
like,
right.
Everyone who's dated has done that to someone.
I know.
But, you know, there comes a point, like, and I had to do this with the podcast. You asked, was it hard for me to date? Like, I knew what I was doing while that was happening. I knew I was ignoring those texts for a date because I wanted to keep them around for when I was feeling a little lonely or when I wanted to meet them out to hook up. Like, I knew that.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
did they know that?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
They probably figured it out at some point. You know, I'm not smarter than anyone else. So
right.
I mean, but that guy got the point. He saw that you were ignoring his ask for date, but also not ignoring him totally.
Right.
So he finally said, hey, I'm not going to be sitting here with, you know, for pen pals. And good for him.
Good for him is right. I know. And I still need to respond. I haven't responded.
You haven't responded? Well, I don't think you need to.
I just got it.
I think you delete the number. Stop.
I just delete. Yeah.
Because he's trying to remove himself from it. So
he's a great guy.
There's but everyone's great. You know,
yeah.
So it's like you can write back to him. You could write back to him, I appreciate that. I wish you the best.
Yeah.
Because that's like letting him go.
Yeah.
Or you don't answer, you delete the number.
Right.
And that's indifferent, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cleaner break, right? He'll get over it quicker.
I don't know. They both, to me, do the same job. But he did give it one more go.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk about the chase, though.
Okay.
Because the guys are really, really into the chase. So for females, it's very, very confusing because we don't want to come off like we're the pursuer. So what are your stances like on that?
I just don't believe in that. Like, I think, like, to me, the scenario we went through where it's first date and then, hey, let me know when that's a chase.
Yeah.
Because you're not chasing like a, you know, like that, in that scenario we did a few minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
Go on the date. Hey, and it's a woman writing, I had a great time. Let me know when we can go out again. Then he goes, Saturday night, he goes, I'm out. Let's do something.
Yeah.
And you go, hey, no problem. I'm down to do something, but I want to do dinner. I'm already have plans tonight.
Yeah.
That's being chased to me.
Okay.
You know, you have a standard.
Right.
It's back to that standard conversation. You know, even if you fucked a guy day one, let's say you went home you met up for drinks, you had the best fucking time, then you go home to his place, you fuck. Great. Good for you. You wanted to have sex. everything consensual, everything perfect.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
Right.
That doesn't mean you can't be chased after that. Like, you can go, and then the guy texts you the next Saturday and goes, "Hey, I'm out. Let's hang out again. I had such a good time last night." You go, "Yeah, I kind of want to do dinner. Let me know if you want to do dinner sometime."
Because then you're like setting the standard.
Well, just because you were doesn't mean you are. So just because you went home with someone doesn't mean now. Like, I think a lot of times women will put guys in these like, well, that's the guy who will never get with anybody, and that's the that's the guy who can't be tamed, and that's the guy who's ready, and I don't really think of things, and I don't think anyone's that black or white. I think it's all of my friends growing up, all of my friends, myself included, all guys that like going out, liked hooking up, liked meeting women, liked drinking and all that stuff, and could be called whatever you want to call them, but they all settled down. They all figured it out at some point. They all figured it out in different ways.
Are they happy?
They seem it. I mean, I mean, who's happy? Like, so, but they're living with someone else. This is what some of these people's goals are, is to be in a relationship that has kids and with the rocking chairs and all that shit.
Right.
So
somebody to grow old with.
Yeah. Right. That's what people are looking for if we're talking about relationships. So, for a woman who's like, I went out with this guy, we had the best fucking time, I ended up fucking him. I don't know if I'll ever see him again. I don't know either. I don't know if you would have seen him again after a first date that didn't end in fucking. You can still say, I want dinner on the second date. That does, just because you fuck doesn't mean like now you're like this garbage hobo woman, that's like, turning tricks after that. Like, and then he can say, well, we had sex day one. I thought we'd go out. Like, he would never say that. This just never would be said. No one would hold that against you. That's something that a lot of people hold against themselves. Now I'm in this bucket. No, go date 2. Hey, I'm out Saturday night. Let's hang out. That's a very obvious, I want to hook up text.
Yeah, right.
Sounds good. I'm with friends. Already have plans. I'm down for dinner this week. There's your standard. My standard is I don't just meet up with someone for a half hangout with loud music and no chairs.
Yeah.
Like, I'll fuck you after a great date if we're connecting.
Right.
Like the chase sometimes to me is like someone using sex as a contract, and I don't think that's ever going to make you happy.
Okay.
So they're saying, because like if a guy, sometimes you get in this track, and this happens in New York and a lot of major cities a lot, where it's like you meet on the app, and then you go on the first date, then you go on the second date, you make out, third date, you get a little drunk and you fuck. And then it's like, where do we go from here? And it's like, she's like, well, I waited the 3 dates. And it's like, like that, I did the 3 date rule. So that means he's in? Like,
oh, the relate to know if you're like actually a couple?
Like, no, but it's more like now because she's waited 3 dates, she's not a certain type of woman. Like, if she had sex day 1, I just think there's this 3 date rule that people sometimes live by.
Yeah.
To me, we know the rules, so like a lot of guys will just stay for 3 and then get laid and leave. So so
true.
And then
this is so true.
But what happens is a lot of women will go, now I have the reason he's an asshole. It's like almost like again you're like going back to this like tribunal of women that are gonna go, he's the asshole, you were not wrong. And it's like there's no. I don't know. I think all that stuff is ways to not look, quote unquote, stupid to a group of people that no one gives a fuck about you.
Yeah.
Like there's not these people going, oh, she sleeps on first. Yeah, people talk shit about the girl who sleeps on first dates who doesn't have a standard after that.
Right.
She's always she sleeps with guys too soon.
Yeah.
No, she sleeps with guys too soon and then doesn't hold out. And doesn't hold on to certain things that will make her that'll get him to sleep with her again.
Right.
She sleeps with guys too soon and then complains about it because she tried to keep a guy by having sex with him instead of just keep a guy not caring that he leaves and not having sex.
Here's the
it goes both ways. You can not have sex and you can go, well, she can't get past the first date. It's like, or he. This can be a guy or a girl. I don't.
Yeah. So what if there's somebody who, at a point, like, and I'm kind of like this now, too, where it's kind of like, sex is something that like means something to me, and I'm more emotional, and it's like I don't want to have sex unless I'm in a relationship now. So it's like, how do you communicate that without sounding like, I don't know.
I don't think you sound like anything. I think that's your standard. Okay. Like, I think, like, if you go on
if we have sex, this means that, you know, I want to make sure we're moving in a forward direction.
Well, you know, how you connect to sex is also, like, that's different for everybody. So some people can have sex and just not, like, shower it off. Like, there's some people like that.
Yes.
If you're not, I think, like, knowing how you feel about how you're, like, Jordana, my co-host on the podcast, we talk about this a lot, where she's like, sex, everyone has their different relationship with sex. And like, there's some people that like, this means something for me. And you have to own that. No one, you know.
Absolutely.
You're going to go on a date with a guy and he's going to go, and you guys are going to go on date 2 and you're making out on a street corner. Okay. Very New York City, datey type of thing. He says, you want to come up? And you go, I would love to come up. But I just want to let you know before I come up, I'll have a glass of wine. I'd love to keep making out with you, but I'm telling you, sex is something that I wait for someone to be in a committed relationship with me, and that's going to be a part of my process. And then they go, yeah, come up anyways. Because they still think they're going to fuck. Because guys have heard that one before. But then you go up and you make out and you go, hey, this was a lot of fun. I got to get going. And then you go. Right. Then if he never calls you again,
then at least you know.
At least you know. And then he might call you again just to go out because he's like, okay, you know, any vulnerability, you're going to get hurt. So, you know, I can't tell you that if you wait for a relationship and he says, we're together, you're the only one I'm with, and then you guys have sex that night, I can't promise you that someone's not going to like use that against you. It's like, you know, they might use that information against you. That sucks. I'm not, you know, but that sucks in general. Like you know, life sucks. That sucks. I don't know how to, you know, I mean, I've been with girls where we've gone on, you know, we've been like months in and we went on a lot of dates and then we had sex and then had a lot of like very girlfriend, boyfriend moments. And I've had great times with them. And then I say, hey, this isn't the match for me. I'm sorry. I got to move on from this.
Yeah.
And they'll look at me like I'm fucking like I just like shock them with like the biggest, craziest thing I've ever said in my life.
Right.
And they're like, but we did all this boyfriend, girlfriend stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's why this is hard because I like you, but I don't see this being more serious than this. And at this point, I have to give you more time and responsibility towards a relationship. And that's been hard because, you know, that takes a little bit of like, you know, guys have to realize that their actions, if they do girlfriend, boyfriend stuff, like those actions are a little bit of a lie. You know,
that's true.
That's hard for me because I'm a person that I'll get in there. Like I'll do like relationship-y type stuff when I first started dating people, and I had to stop doing that. Like I had to be like, yeah, you're being a liar in a different way. You know,
interesting. That's good that you're self-aware.
I mean, I'm self-aware, but it's hard to change. It's hard. That's how I express, you know, care and all that stuff. So it's, you know, the whole idea of like, I think you have to understand that you're going to get hurt. You know, like, you have to give yourself to that a little bit, as hard as that
maybe
seems.
Like going into every relationship, just knowing that you're going to get hurt might be actually the best thing you could do.
Just knowing that 9 out of 10 relationships don't work out. The 10th one ends in divorce 50% of the time. Like the odds are against you.
Isn't that crazy?
So but that's what it is. The relationships are hard. If they were easy, then we wouldn't be here right now talking about it. Like my podcast wouldn't exist.
Yeah, this is true.
So it's hard. I think admitting it's hard is.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think I've had that where I'm actually, you know, I was very hurt. After my last relationship, and
how long was it?
It was hard to. It wasn't that long, but I felt like when I met this person that this person was the one.
Sure.
And you know, I really felt that we connected, and there was just like a natural friendship and chemistry there. And when it didn't work out, he never really sat me down and, you know, respected me enough to explain why it didn't work. And that's me a lot of questions, and it hurt. And now it's been hard to get back out there, even though I'm over him. You know.
What would he explain? That's another thing where people want this closure, but like...
Yes, I guess it was the closure I was looking for, but it's kind of like the closure is him walking away.
Yeah, I don't know what he... Like, a lot of people are like, well, what did they... I asked for them to tell me what the reason was. And it's like, I always... There's no good reason. Like, they don't know you better than you know you. You know what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy from the relationship.
100%, yeah.
That's something to try and find again. Like,
exactly.
as hard as that is to, like, say, because it's always tough for me when someone's like, well, I'm going to ask them for answers. They didn't give me the answers that I wanted after we broke up. And I'm always like, what I don't know what they could really tell you. You know, like,
Right.
They're going to say what they're busy, their career, or this wasn't the match. And it's all going to be, and people are always like, is that a lie? And it's like, yeah, it's a lie. You know, like, it's, yeah, what are they going to say?
No, but I look back now and I'm like, God, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because so much more has happened since then, and it's great.
Of course.
But it's still, like, it still sucks to be rejected that way.
Yeah. It sucks, but that's... You know, you can stay in the house and roll up in the blanket. Like, you can do that instead and not experience anything.
Yeah, and that's not, you don't want to ever do that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I think a lot of people, you have to realize that you were fine before the relationship. You're going to be fine if it ends.
Yeah, and it's been so long that, like, obviously, like, I'm way over that. But, yeah, that's just, you know, it's something that I think subconsciously has made, because there's parts of me that's like, I don't want to date. Like, I'll go on Hinge and I'll communicate with these guys, and then when it goes to the fact that I have to physically go to a place and sit down with them, I'm like, I'd rather be doing a show.
Probably because it's a long process. You're like, this is just day one. We're not even at like year 7 when we're fighting about something stupid. You know, like, it's like starting at the end, if you die in the video game, you have to start all the way at the beginning again. Like, you know, especially with dating, if you're in like this if you're in this place where it's like you start at like, you get in like 3-monthers, you're in fucking Groundhog's Day. Like, if you go like, you know, if you get in 3-month things like 4 times a year,
right?
You know, you're like, oh, we did this already. Your parents are together. They're not together. They're this, they're that. You know, like your brother. I get it. You know, like, let's just get past this already. Yeah, that's daunting. I can understand like why, especially like in a big city where you're dating a lot. Like, oh, I gotta do this again.
Because I haven't really been dating. Like, I didn't have any interest. And now I'm kind of like, I should probably put myself, like, in the game.
Yeah, why not? I mean...
Yeah, I just, like, didn't have any interest in it. I don't know.
Or just go have fun with friends. I mean, like...
That's exactly what I do, and I love that.
I think a lot of, like, dating stuff happens for people. Like, ideas come in the shower. You know, like, when you take a shower, your mind's kind of on the mind. You're thinking about the shower, thinking about washing your hair, your feet, your body. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's an idea, because you're letting things just happen. Like, I think that happens with dating, too, where people let go of it a little bit. Yeah. And then they end up meeting someone because
attachment.
They're not really looking.
Yeah, it's that whole attachment thing. If you're attached to anything, you're pushing it away.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
Yeah, I just think, like, if you're out with friends, that draws people to you.
Oh, of course.
You know, like,
absolutely, because people want to be around people that are having fun.
Yeah.
So what do you think about men that are like late 40s, 50s that have never been married? Like, there's something going on there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's all context based. You know, like, you know, it's like, that's like a 25-year-old female virgin. You know, like, where, you know, this, I could understand that if a girl's 25 and she's like, I was with my high school boyfriend until college, and I was waiting. Yeah. Then I got to college and no one was really dating and no one was really being in relationships. It was just like hookup culture, and I made out and I blew some dudes and I had guys go down on me, but I really held on to like losing to someone important. Yeah. And now I'm on all these apps and now I'm 25 and there's just been no one that's been cool enough for me to like really have sex with. I would go, yeah, I get that. Like I could see how that would happen.
Yeah, no, that makes absolute sense.
So I could see with a guy who's in his 50s, I could see a similar story for a guy in his 50s to go, I created this company and it took every ounce of me. And then I had a girl, I would have girlfriends along the way and they would always leave me because I was so busy with this company. And then finally the company ended up, now it's like working and I don't have to be there as much. And I realized I missed a lot of parts of life. And, I could see how now
that makes sense.
I'm finally dating and it's been really nice and fun. And, I had one girl break my heart, like you could see how I could see that too, so
yeah, so
I do, but but also let's not, you don't want to count on the small chance to be the normal, like I do understand where you're like 50 didn't ever happen. What's up? Like,
well, you're right.
So then I do understand that thought, but I think it's all on how someone can explain it.
Yeah.
With that being said, there's a good salesman out there, but I think someone could explain that in a way. I think if people have to just own their baggage, and I don't mean to call it baggage, but like you have to own whatever it is you come to the table with, and be aware of it. So it's like, like a guy who's 50 who's never been married knows he's 50 and never been married.
This is
and
true.
if he's sitting there going, "What's the problem?" Then you're with someone that you should leave that date. If they're going like, it's like, one time I remember I took a picture of my dinner and there was hummus on the side.
Yeah.
And someone wrote to me like, ew, is that hummus? Ah! And I'm like, it's not 1975. Like,
what
hummus is in the conversation. Like, you can't be weirded out by hummus. Like, we know what it is. You've tried it before. If you don't like it, that's fine. But don't act like nobody eats that. No. It's not. We're not in Ohio in 1952.
Right.
So it's the same for the 50 and 40, late 40 guys where it's like, as long as they're like in tune with that it's a little weird, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
I think everyone just has to admit to what they're like. When I started seeing my girlfriend, I wasn't like, this is comedy. This is just like any other job. I was like, I'm traveling every weekend. This is fucking weird. And I know it sucks. And I understand that but you also have to understand that you're getting into something too.
Yeah.
So I think that any type of situation like that, you have to just own it a little bit.
Right. No, that's exactly right. So what do you think? So what age from the man's point of view, is kind of a red flag if a woman hasn't been married?
It's never a red flag. I think, the funny part about that is like guys are so ego built that we're like, if you're at a certain age, we're like, well then she wants certain things and they've got to happen on a schedule because I'm such a great guy. And it's like, you're not that great as a guy. You're fine. So I think that gets in the way for women of certain ages where it's like they're fighting against the ego of a guy thinking that every woman of a certain age needs to move at a certain pace.
Interesting. Okay. So somebody that's like in their baby making years. Maybe they're pushing out of that. It's kind of like the speed would be up.
You would think. And you would understand like this ain't going to be, hey, meet up on a Saturday. I would assume that of someone. And that might not be fair.
Yeah.
But if a woman's not married and she's 35 and we go and like, it would be the other thing around. She would have to like have some awareness of like that guys would think that.
Yeah.
You have in the same way the guy would have to say like, who's 50 going, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Like, guy can't keep a girlfriend. He's, a immature baby. But no, I'm really looking for something, and I feel like this is a good way for us to meet. Like she would have to go in the same way. Hey, I'm not looking for that. I just want to let you know. Or I am looking for that. I'm looking. My friends are getting married. I'm looking to meet someone serious who's like looking to date.
And you know what's funny is like that is a good thing to say. What you just said, right? And is easy to say, but it takes a lot of balls to say that exact thing to somebody that you actually like. somebody that you're not emotionally interested in, that's a very easy thing to say because you don't give a shit. There's no stakes.
There's no turning down.
But if you really like somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm looking for, to start a family and settle down and find my life partner, like I like personally for me, like I would be scared to say that at first because I'd be like, oh, are they going to think I'm too like, but it's kind of like.
But it's also that back to that standard thing. Like,
it's your standard.
Yeah, it's your standard. And that's okay. Like,
right.
Hey, yeah, but, I think if someone is at that place at 35, 40, whatever they are, it's because, maybe at another time they spent time with someone who they were afraid to say that to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Maybe there was a time where they were like, they maybe should have been a little bit more ready to be turned down by someone who wasn't going to be that for them.
Yeah.
I don't like to, I know that sounds bad to like blame. I'm not blaming the person. I'm saying like,
yeah.
Let's look back. Let's not repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Like,
right.
Just like I'm looking back at my dating history and being like, yeah, you shouldn't have fucking gone for brunch after sleeping at a girl's place and then spent the whole day. Like that gave a message that you wanted to be with her.
Oh, yes,
that's
true.
In the same way where it's like, you got to look back through your dating. And it's like, yeah, I never let that person know that I wanted serious.
Yeah.
And they should have known, yeah, they're a part of that issue, but
and it's okay
you gotta protect
to say that.
Now you gotta protect yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and I think women are sometimes maybe afraid. They want to come off as like the cool girl, or the guy wants to be the cool guy. Or,
everyone wants to be not turned down.
Yeah,
I think
everybody gets turned down.
It's gonna happen. Can't avoid it.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. So that should be like a game where it's like, how many times can you get turned down?
Yeah, well,
that would actually be fun. We should do a video and go out and do that on the street. Wouldn't that be fun?
How many? What is it?
Would just be like set a goal. Be like, I am going to try and get turned down 10 times before the end of the year.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're taking chances because you're trying to raise the stakes to get to that goal number.
Yeah.
Which makes it like very interesting. Could really create a funny
that's like
story.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 days. Isn't that the 10 dates or
10 days?
10 days. It's like,
yeah.
She does all these cliche things of like, that'll get him to walk away, and he stays because he's in a bed of his own.
Right.
But it's like,
But I think it's just the taking chances thing.
It's never, you're never taking a chance if you're doing what makes you happy and you're getting enjoyment. So like owning that, being like, yeah, this is what makes me happy. It makes me happy to get a second date that's a dinner date, not a meetup.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, it doesn't make me happy to meet up with someone at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night when I had other plans. No. So,
yeah,
you're willing to hear no.
So what is the most common question that you get for advice?
I don't know. It's a lot of like what, I went out with someone, what should I do next? Okay. When I was someone, I had fun. What's the next play?
And what?
I think that happens a lot.
Okay.
And that's the same thing. Like, hey, had a great day. Let them know you had fun.
Yeah.
I want to go out again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And do you still think that it's possible for people to meet organically?
Of course.
Okay.
I met my girlfriend organically.
Yeah, that's true. Because people definitely, they're not looking up. Like when I go to a bar, I'm usually with my friends. I'm not really looking around. And like sometimes when you dress up, if you're like having a meeting and you go to a nice bar, a lot of people think you're a hooker.
Really?
Yeah. Or like I don't look like a hooker, but like that can come off too. Or, you know.
I've never been accused of being a hooker myself, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think like the dating apps are just another piece of the dating pie.
I think they've made it worse though. I think they've destroyed dating. People don't have to put in as much effort because they can say, fuck it, I don't need to put any effort in. I can just go swipe right on a bunch of different people.
Well, yeah, but if it makes people disposable. But
right.
I think also it's like you have to have some self-responsibility.
Totally.
So it's like the app isn't the be-all, end-all. No, nothing's the be-all, end-all. Everything works and doesn't work. If you go out with someone and you meet them if you meet someone on an app, you swipe right and you have a good conversation. Hey, down to get drinks this week. Let me know when. Here's my number.
Right. Yeah.
And if they don't move in that easy dance with a partner way, like if like The more like, well, let me get your Instagram, or like, oh, take my number so we can text a little bit. No. You've had enough.
Yeah.
You know, like, like, oh, let me see your Snapchat. No.
Yeah.
Here's my number. Let's do drinks. Let me know where and when. Done.
Right.
You know, it's the apps, if you treat them like a bar, then you'll be better off. So in a bar, if you met someone, they go, hey, it was really nice to talk to you. Here's my number. Let's get drinks sometime.
Right, because if you didn't, then you would be done.
You never meet them again. You never have a chance to get back to them. So with the apps, you have this like, it becomes lazier because you're like, well, I can always come back to this conversation. Or people think because we talked, we have to go out. You know, people chase after chase after fine because it's in front of them. So they'll be like,
okay.
So a lot of times people will be like, you know, I've had a lot of nice conversations with people on apps where I'm like, I don't want to fucking go out with this person.
Yeah.
This was mediocre.
Right.
But it was nice, you know?
Yeah.
So,
how are the typical responses from a female on these apps? Because I'm the female in my situation. So I'm not the most talkative person on these apps because it's kind of like that third wall's up, you know? I don't know who I'm talking to.
But, you know, there's ways to have fun talking with someone that's not.
Because I'm very boring. Very boring on the apps. But when you meet me in person, I'm like, hey.
But you don't ask questions?
I do.
Like I would always, to me, make it about their profile pictures. They made their profile. Yeah. So you're commenting on something they made. So, true. Hey, you know, what park is that? I love that park. Like, that's already a more interested question than how was your weekend?
Exactly.
So, and if it's how was your weekend, great. I went out with friends. I did this. Give more detail. Yeah. The more detail you give, the more there's to grab onto, the more they can respond to, the more they can show their personality as much as you just showed yours. Okay. If they're not showing as much as you, then it's okay. Yeah. Stop talking.
Exactly.
You know, like,
I think I'm the one that's definitely drives the guys nuts because they're kind of like, I'm not very responsive. Like, I'm a terrible online dater.
Well, but the thing is, you don't have to respond to everyone that talks to you. And then you also, like, if you have a conversation where they go, hey, what's up? And you go, nothing. Maybe you didn't want to talk to them anyways.
I didn't. Right, yeah. Exactly. This is true. So what advice can you give the listeners out there before we wrap up? Maybe somebody that is struggling with the breakup thinks that the one got away.
It didn't.
What would you say to them?
They didn't get away. You are you. You're great. It's going to work out.
Yeah.
But for every seat, it'll find its way. Whatever. Also, breakups are really hard to do. If you broke up, there was a good enough reason to make it happen. No breakup is done, you know, because someone kind of wanted to break up. You had to do a lot to break up. So
that's a good point.
Breakups happen for a reason. Trust whatever the reason that was, even if you forgot it. Yeah. And unfollow on all social media.
Okay, so unfollow on all social.
Yeah.
Just like done with it.
Yeah.
So there's zero contact because you're not going to heal if you keep reaching out.
Yeah, and it's also like you only see them at the best moments. You don't see them at the moments you hated.
Exactly.
So,
this is true.
Yeah. So like, why, you know, and social media should make you feel better, not worse. So
exactly.
Unfollow. And then people, it's funny because I'll always be like, I'll say the same thing. Breakups happen for a reason. And then they're like, yeah, you're right. And then I'll go and unfollow on all social media. They're like, what? You know, like it changes the whole, but I'm like, that's the hard part.
It's true.
It'll feel weird for a day. And then you'll already have forgotten about them after a day. I promise.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And then obviously don't try to be friends with the next for at least a year.
Yeah, no, you don't check in on the dog.
Yeah. There's no ulterior motive. I just wanted to see the damn dog. I do love the dog. He's fun too, but obviously that didn't work out for a reason. And I am very grateful for the experience that I had. And, you know, now I get to share my amazing self with somebody even cooler.
A better dog.
with my own dog, right? Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here. Where you have a comedy album that came out recently.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Mama Bear,
album,
right?
Always a Mama Bear. But, you know, just Instagram is where everything happens for me. So.
And what did it tell them?
Jared Freid, Jared Freid. I put up my podcast there. I do Bachelor reviews. I do reviews of charcuterie boards. It's all stupid. But Jared Freid on Instagram. That's where it all happens.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much
Thank
for being next to me on Next to Madison.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Next to Madison. We'll see you guys next time to find out who's next. Hi, your host, Madison Malloy here. I just wanted to remind you guys to please follow the show on social media at Next to Madison. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the show, or you feel that you would be a great guest on the show and would love to be considered, please feel free to email me at nexttomadison@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms. And I thank you again for listening.